Hello, dear viewers. I welcome you to REMconnect, a refugee exile media network. And today we are here presenting our talk show about the subject that have changed the public opinion on the situation of refugees seriously. Mainly after what happened in Cologne at New Year's Eve, that have a very great, strong racist reaction all over Germany. And today in our studios, we have Jennifer from the International Women's Space.
Good evening.
And Nadia, an activist against racism and also a friend of us from the Refugee Resistance Berlin. Mm-hmm. And on my left side, we have Vincent, also from the Refugee Resistance in Berlin.
Good evening, viewers.
Concerning the current situation of refugees in Germany and as a whole in Europe, following the arrival of new migrants, you saw that last year, and we saw also at the same time the hurriedly tightening of asylum laws, and that have mostly been covered by the so welcome cultures, as you hear now in the news. Now my question comes from there to you, Ms. Jennifer. What do you think about mostly the instance happened in Cologne? Because we hear that everywhere in the news about refugees being rapists, and how do you...
Thank you for the opportunity. And I will just start by talking about racism, because that is what it is. And for a long time, we have had fights against Nazis, but there has nothing is being done about racism. The problem of racism is that it's dehumanizing. From the color of your skin, some people may decide to treat you from this. This is what they use to decide what kind of treatment should be accorded to you. And to use the incidents of Cologne to criminalize refugee is a very big racist thing.
Thank you very much for your opinion, Jennifer. And yeah, Nadia, you have heard, and as also I know that that's your topic. You are an activist against racism, and you have heard that all what is going on about the instance in Cologne, it's all about racism. So what is your personal point of view from?
Of course, I mean, in a society which is dominated by white German people that control discussions, that control how society is organized, of course, we are the first that are affected by this Cologne incident as refugees and migrants. The criminalization of refugees and migrants has a very old colonial tradition in Europe, not only in Germany. So that in the aftermath of the Cologne incidents, there was again a tightening of laws is not a surprise for us, for sure. But also the discussion about sexism, sexual oppression in German society was again a moment where me, as a woman of color living in Germany, being a German citizen, felt not represented, because there was always the thing of the refugee rapist construction against that has to be held away from the white German woman as the symbol of civilized. Yeah, big problem.
Yes. Yeah, I would like really to ask you, what is your view about the instance, mainly as you have heard them, what happened to Cologne, and where we see the brutal racist attacks, reactions from different groups of anti-migrants, anti-Muslim, because we hear that, most especially the AfD, Alternative für Deutschland. What is your point of view about the situation concerning to Cologne?
So what happened in Cologne New Year Eve? Unfortunately, it involves people who were here as refugees, but it should be dealt with the way it happened. The suspects be arrested and be tried. If they are guilty of what happened, let them be put there. But bringing in racism and all that, I do not think that is right, and I do not think that is fair. But if you look at what happened in France earlier, well, I think that is what can bring about the topic of racism. But in Cologne, that was a very ordinary crime. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, I would like to ask you again, Jennifer. You said that the situation, it's dehumanizing. From your experience and a full-time activist from the international women's space, what are you trying to overcome this, in order to overcome this?
I will say it is racist again, because German, white, European people, men, are doing these very same acts to refugees and immigrant women. But when these crimes are done to refugee and immigrants, they don't get the same hysteria and propaganda that has been on the television from when these incidents in Cologne happened. Women in the homes they are facing all forms of abuses. There are no structures that even safeguards the women in these homes, and nobody is talking about it. So when we talk of violence, maybe the violence needs to be redefined, because these women are facing what is real violence and nobody is speaking about it.
Nadia, as an activist who is fighting all these discriminative measures, what have you tried to do in order to encounter such problems?
I think it's a question for us all, as we're all active and try to change the awareness of the society. I mean, I think this is a point where to start, to have the analysis about what kind of power relations we have in society, who is profiting from these power relations, what is the legacy of all the discussions regarding migrants, refugees and women. I mean, you put a very good point to say, okay, if women of color are being harassed, no one cares about it. And this is the same with women dying in wars, being done by the European powers since centuries, and why there's no upheaval regarding this in German society. So, yeah, to create an awareness for society, but also to have the right analysis and to know how you are being reigned, how you're being governed.
Also brought in a big perspective on how refugees have been stigmatized, you know, because if you hear mainly the instance which happened in Cologne, and now taking that advantage, most especially the mainstream conservatives, together with their racist groups, and stigmatize all refugees as rapists. I think it's also a terror, I think, against us. A violence, exactly.
It is terror. It is a lot of terror. Because the way they even speak about the refugees in the television, in the mainstreams, it's like these people, it's like an epidemic they are describing. And these people come, some die on the way, some kill themselves, some make it to reach here. And even those who make it to reach here are the real epidemic. How do we get control, have control of this kind of an epidemic? It's not like they're speaking about human beings. And that is the greatest form of terror anybody could face.
Exactly. And Nadia, what's your opinion about the ongoing stigmatization of not only the North African refugees, but the refugees in general? Because as you hear everywhere, refugees, even now, we are scared to come close to a white woman to talk to. We are scared that. So, as an activist against all these discriminative measures, do you think it's a war against refugees or Muslims?
Yes, I totally agree on your points. For sure, it's a terror, it's a war against innocent people that are fleeing from the countries that are destroyed by European powers. They just follow their resources, they follow their families, you know, and the structure of the German society and politics is always to say, no, it's your fault. It's your fault. Why you're here, it's your fault. It was the same with the National Socialist Underground when we talk about Nazis that were killing 10 years long migrants, which had their own shops, and the Nazis would go into the shops and just shoot at the people, migrant people, backed up by the Secret Service of Germany and German police and state institutions. And only 10 years after, it was said, oh, it's 3 Nazi people, yeah, we don't know how they're connected to other Nazi groups, but yeah, it's been them. And 10 years long, the families, the migrant families were attacked in the media by politicians, by the police. They were interrogated. They were seen as those who have killed their own family members. You know, you see, in any kind of community, or be it migrant, be it refugee, you have a certain kind of role you have to play in society, because Germany profits from global exploitation and from wars, and they don't need us. You know, they need maybe cheap labor, but they don't need us to live here. You know, that's very clear. It's a war against refugees, for sure.
But if we look into the situation of refugees, most especially, I would like us to focus most especially here in Germany, as the way they treat refugees and turn things, blaming refugees as coming here and forgetting their history. Because I don't believe that the German men are 100%. There are a lot, as we have heard from Jennifer, there are a lot of insult of refugee women in the lagers. There are a lot of sexual abuse, even on the German women by the German men. So how does it come, really, that, you know, everything we have to be the victim? You know, Nadia, as mainly you who is very strong on this issue, what do you think, or what's your word to the viewers, to the German society and the German government itself?
Actually, human rights is also an imperial tool. human rights was an invention of European powers to define who is human and who not. To say, you should demand this as your right and this not, sorry. And then, yeah, we have this human rights discourse also used in how the border should be controlled, how the asylum rights should be designed, and it's also adopted in the welcome culture. Welcome culture is actually the continuation of using human rights discourse from a European perspective to fulfill your own needs. I mean, we can discuss this more, but yeah. This would be a first, yeah.
Jennifer, you had Nadia saying that human rights is a European instrument to dehumanize or to make other people more powerless, you know, and also about through this integration, welcome culture. So what is your real point?
I think I would just add on to what Nadia says, that these policies that were made were in a way to control people. And it's more so with the religion, that this religion has to fight this other religion. It is just a tool to suppress people, to make people conflict, to create a conflict. And it would be very unfair if we don't remind people that even if people are not fleeing from war, we are fleeing from things they did many years ago. Colonialism, exploitation, unfair trade. All these things, it would be very unfair if we don't speak about these things, because I don't know if they forget or they just don't want to acknowledge these facts.
Most especially you, Nadia, I would like to ask you about this wave going around, the wave of welcome culture. What do you think about it? As you, an activist who have been struggling against all these nonsense measures, structures for so long time. Yeah? What do you say about it?
You know, I mean, I know you both since quite a long time, and we have a political history together. And what we reached during the struggle of Oranienplatz, the protest camp of refugees at Oranienplatz, was that we sensibilized a whole population, and even German population. No? And now we have the consequence. So because we missed somehow political standards for the movement, that we created also this wave of welcome culture in the sense of humanitarian aid, which is not about radical change of asylum laws. It's not about how to think of practical solidarity. It's not about to think social justice. It's about the people themselves when they come with flowers for refugees. And this is a big problem for me. It makes me very angry, and it makes me also angry because so much people who are involved in refugee self-organizations also carry this attitude of I'm a Christ, I'm a Jesus, or whatever, I will liberate you and I will help you. But the political question, I don't see in that. And if we don't talk about political standards, then we will not change the situation in society. We will start all over again and again. Yeah.
As a woman, a full-time activist, how do you see this wave culture, which it's almost paving a way, suppressing our political struggle? As you, the international women space, what are you trying to do in order to overcome about that?
First of all, speak about this suppression, because it's a real suppression. Because as it is with the welcome culture, the people welcoming are ending up making the people who are already fleeing victims again. So you are a 2 times victim. And then if the direction it is also taking, because now after the welcome culture, when you came as a refugee, who welcomed you? So it's creating the situation of a good refugee and a bad refugee. So what is happening really? It's a divide and rule tactic. That these good refugees will start fighting, being against the bad refugees, and at the end we will start fighting each other. But this is how it's going to function. And then when you listen to everybody, this one is anti-this, this one is anti-that, and nobody is coming with a concrete proposal of what we are supposed to do.
Exactly.
So I think we should reflect back. As much as we make demos, as much as we do what we have to do, we need something concrete, something standing. Like what we had in Oranienplatz, that everybody knew this is the movement, this is the refugee movement. We need something in this context.
I wanted to ask you about the international women's space. What's your struggle? And now I see you with the book you are holding. Can you tell our viewers what it's all about?
International Women's Space is a group of women who they already occupied school in Ulauer Strasse. And it's in this way that we realized how much the women were being suppressed. Even speaking about their own stories was a very difficult thing. And we have provided a platform for women to speak about their stories. We are trying as much as possible to highlight the forms of oppressions that women are facing through. And this book, in our own words, is about refugee women telling their stories for at least something to have as a document that people would want to know what is happening to women. And it's in this context that we have a struggle, that gender persecution is considered as a ground for women to be given asylum in whichever part they go to seek asylum, because this is something that is not given enough publicity, enough space, enough everything.
That's great.
Yeah.
And are you selling it? Are you giving readings? And mainly where people can find you?
If you go to our website, iwspace@wordpress.com, you will see where you can get all this. The details are all on the website. But now we are giving different readings. For example, today we went to a certain Heim, and we have started a knitting session with the women just to be able to make them comfortable, to be able to speak. And today we were able to read the first story from this book. And the reaction we got from these women was amazing. That from a story, women who have just been here for less than 3 months are beginning to speak to each other. And this for us is very important, that the women can speak to each other and that we can provide that platform for women to say whatever they want to say and feel safe to say it as a woman.
Great.
Yeah.
And Nadia, I think I would like you to give your concrete ideas on what we can do as activists to overcome all this terror against us, the welcome culture, the tightening of new asylum laws, this so-called humanitarian aid.
I cannot answer it in total. What I am doing right now is to...
Concretely,
concretely, is that what Jennifer already said? I mean, as much actions as we do, we should also take the serious time to self-reflect what we are doing. You know, it sounds very easy, but it's actually very crucial, because we didn't do it in Oranienplatz. Oranienplatz was always action, event, action, 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 event. And then you had the creation of solid power structures in the group, because it was a male-dominated group. And then, others who were not in this male allies were either directly or indirectly excluded. And this is maybe one aspect. And then, and this is a call for anyone who labels himself or herself as a supporter, you have to think about your motivation, why you are helping or supporting. What is the background of this? Is it that you want to help to feel more important, or is it that you believe in the political struggle? If yes, what is the political struggle? So this is very basic questions we didn't ask ourselves, and now we are facing this wave of suppression of the refugee struggle.
With Jennifer, I would like you to close this from your political point of view and your word to the viewers and to our fellow refugees, most especially the women. Your final word, what can we do concretely to overcome?
I think one thing I will want to address to the women is that it is very important to create first a safe space for yourself. And we are also speaking and talking that even if the lagers cannot be abolished now, as long as we are very much against the lagers, but as long as the women have to be in lagers, we are demanding spaces for women. Because women are running from all sorts of violence, and when they come here, I don't think they are getting the kind of protection they imagined they will get. In fact, they are facing a different form of violence that is worse and is more traumatizing than what they expected. So I think safe space, let's speak to each other and reach out to people.
You have
yes, we have an announcement, yes, that we are preparing a demo for the 8th of March, and we are calling out to women from all over to join this demo.
Then, dear viewers, I would like to invite all of you to come on the carnival on 20th of March, starting at 12 noon from Platz der Luftbrücke, and it's mainly a carnival, a form of artistic protest, but it's more political against the new asylum laws and the constant repression of refugees. And yeah, so we hope to see you all there. Least but not. This, we are born free. My struggle, what I believe in, we are all free humans, and we must set free ourselves. What matters is humanity. So let us fight for humanity, not humanitarian aid, not isolation. Yeah. Thank you very much. You can find us on Alex Berlin, WeTV, and REMconnect, Facebook, YouTube. Stay tuned, stay strong. We are here to stay. Yeah. Yeah. No border, no nation.
Stop deportation.